Welcome to Lostwithiel Manor, located in the beautiful countryside in Cornwall. Today you'll be joining Matt and I exploring this beautiful house behind me, and I'll also be introducing you to the wonderful owner Elizabeth and her two daughters Claire and Sarah. The house has 9 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms and is available for private hire through Oliver's Travels. Now it's not just this house, there is an entire estate. We've got a church over there and there's also a stewardry, which we're going to show you around later. But Matt, let's start this tour outside the front. Can we just take in this incredible view? There's around 600 acres and there is so much history with this house. Elizabeth, the owner, will go through it all later on in the video. And just behind me over here is the church. So if you do have a wedding here, that is where you can get married. And spin back around, Matt, we've got loads of other properties on the estate, but let's just take a moment to take in how beautiful this house looks from the front. It's giving me Bridgerton vibes. I'm a big fan of that show. Now, before we start the tour, let me introduce you to the owner, Elizabeth.
The property came into my family in 1717 when Governor Pitt bought the place, and it descended through 5 generations of Pitts, and then it moved to the last Anne Pitt. The last Pitt married Lord Grenville, William Grenville, who was Prime Minister during the abolition of the slave trade, interestingly. And he had no children, so left it to the Fortescue family. And my husband was the 6th generation.
Wow, what an incredible entrance. And check out these portraits. It's been so interesting to learn about the history of the families that had this property, and you'll notice all these portraits all throughout the house.
So we have an interesting collection of pictures, mostly of different era of politicians from 1780s to 1840s. This is Governor Pitt, who bought Beconnach.
Through this way, we have a yoga room to my right, which I'll show you on later on in the tour. But we're going to head through to, I think, my favourite room of the house. So welcome to the drawing room. Let's just take a moment to just appreciate these ceiling heights and the details on this ceiling. Now, earlier we had this fireplace on. It was absolutely incredible. Very cozy vibes in here. Although it is still so grand, it does have a cozy feeling to it.
This part of the house is 1640. Before we restored it, it had a big hole up there. A wonderful girl came around and looked at the hole and said, do you want it plastered? And she copied the oak leaf cornice all the way around. It is very important to us to get things made locally and just to find these wonderful craftsmen. The thing about the house is it always said to us, if you look after me, I'll look after you. And we were determined to restore it. It took 12 years, and we didn't borrow any money, but we got there in the end. When you see some of the photographs of the early days, and there was only a barn house living here, you can imagine it was in quite a state. Moving into 100 years later, this room was 1760. It's now a bar for the weddings and events that we have. That's always peaceful room for talking. This is a bar, and then it goes into what was the old Victorian smoking room.
Wow, look how grand this room is. I love the colour red in this room. I think it suits the house so much. And these are all original wood panelling. Let's take a moment to just appreciate this section here with the craftsmanship above the mirror. This is a Victorian fireplace and just the wood is so beautiful.
I tell you what, I'm enjoying touring a home with so much history. We tour many modern contemporary homes, but seeing the portraits on the walls, seeing the old-fashioned colours, it's quite fascinating.
We had no money, so we knew that we had to think up ways and projects which could raise the funds. We started with selling 3 barns, outlying barns, which had planning permission, on condition that money went into the house. So that started us. And then we created holiday lets in the stable yard. And from then on, we created events. The first was our steam fair, and we had a great time building up. We had lectures, we had early weddings, used to be in the stable yard or marquees on the lawn. And it just became an adventure, and people would suggest ideas to us. So this is a Victorian room that was in a very bad repair. You walk in here and bits of plaster would fall off. And with the restoration, we used some of the wooden floorboards. If the panelling, where the panelling had gone in places, we reused floorboards because it was all the same date, so it was the same colour. This was the Moon family who lived here between 1500 and 1700. And then too many died in duels. So the last Moon died in a duel at the Battle of Tewkesbury with the Duke of Hamilton. And they ended up both dying, because when Moon was lying on the floor with a stab wound, and the Duke of Hamilton looked over him, and Moon picked up his dagger and stabbed him. So they were both dead.
So here is a back door to the back of the house. And then let's go back through this door here, which leads us back to the entrance where we started. Now, should we go to this side, Matt?
Yeah, what have we got through here?
We have the staircase, which is one of my favourite parts. Oh, I think I've said every part's my favourite, but should we show the staircase first, or the yoga room?
Let's show the yoga room first, and then I can back up the stairs and it'll be better lighting.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Here is the yoga room. It can also be used as like ping pong, table games room. They've got it set up for yoga.
And then show me that side. You know, everyone watching can see how big this space is.
This is a gorgeous place to just sit and look out. You can see the church and over the fields.
I think my husband's, his great ambition in life had been to restore the house and to do all he could for the estate. And he was in the furniture business and he loved wood. So here was bliss for him, because he had acres of forestry and he would always be looking for new areas to plant trees. When the oaks fell, he'd use them, he'd dry them and use them for wood. And much of our furniture was made from our own wood. And he also had his own furniture business, which we used to furnish the house in the first place, because the house was bereft. There was not a thing in it.
Now, coming out to one of the outdoor areas, there's so much outdoor space. There's a deer park, there's a lake, I think there's a shared tennis court, there's loads of walks. I mean, you could just spend a week here and just explore and relax.
It's an interesting question whether we would ever live here, but we always said right from the beginning that it was a house that had to pay for itself, put all our heart and souls into restoring it, and we would sometimes come and enjoy it and be able to stay here at Christmas or Easter, or we have a steam fair in the summer, we usually stay then. To cover the renovations, we ran the events, and it was very much hands-on as a family. We'd all take part, and friends would come and stay, and everybody would help. So we could really put the majority of what we earned into the fabric of the house. That was so important to us. We had to really strive. And twice we had depleted our funds, so we had to go back, take time off for 8 months, in which time we lost our teams. They went to other friends who were restoring buildings, and we had to start again. So we were very cautious. We never borrowed money, and we just steadily managed to earn. And it was a great moment when we could use the downstairs of the house for weddings, and we'd use the stable yard up to that point. So this is the only part of the house that we actually took a grant for. The Country Houses Foundation funded the restoration project here, which took 2 years. The side on the right was there, but needed a lot of restructuring. And then this side had a huge hole in the roof and was a restoration job, whereas that side was conservation, because the paintings were there. And this side had to be recreated as this had all been washed away, with a big hole in the roof behind me. One of the painters was rather like Michelangelo. The scaffolding was up to the roof, and she was on her back restoring the ceiling, sticking the parts of the paint back. It leads up here to the library and picture gallery. So this is the picture gallery that we created about 4 years ago. And these pictures had all been somewhere else, but originally were hanging here. And it was an amazing feeling when they all finally got back together, because they'd all known each other. They'd all been in Parliament together. And a very strong political group called the Whig Politicians. And it's the only collection of the Whig politicians in the country now. The last one at Stowe was broken up. And these characters all had amazing lives. Fascinating to read about them. There's a collection of china, which are all part of the Pitt family. I think these estates reflect history. They go through the centuries, and they go through generations of people. And families of working community is very important. I recently met one whose family had been here since 1600. She said they were the 17th generation. and it's a wonderful record, and it's a very uniting place. And in one of our art courses, the art teacher said if only trees could speak. And think what a story these 500-year-old trees would have to tell.
Finally painted in 1763.
Wow.
I know, that's incredible. What about this one? 1753 too. Wow. That was hand painted.
And rather lovely because we had no doors here and we had to get them. We hadn't got the money. So a wonderful Mrs. Moon from the family that had lived here in the 1500s came to see the house and gave us a very kind cheque. And then we got a wonderful restorer to come and polish them. So we had them made and then polished. And this is the library, very cosy room. And there was no furniture in the house and no books. So people really kindly donated us all these books. So we've been really lucky with all the people that have turned up here. Lovely view down to the River Lerion, where there's a letter in the British Library that Wedgwood stayed here, and he wrote a letter saying that he walked along the banks of the River Lerion and looked at the big house where he was later invited to dine. This is one of the bedrooms, rather lovely because it faces east and you get the doves in the morning. Yes, we put fabric on the wall because it was an example of what had been used in the past. They were all battened because I suppose fabric was much warmer in those days. So this was the one bathroom in the house, and it had a very high old bath which nowadays people with sore hips wouldn't be able to get into, so we kept the marble panel and then just put a slightly lower bath in. This is the Victorian room over the smoking room below. Quite a different feel, and this would have been built in 1840. The house was extended and a Victorian tower was built at the north end. So this is quite different architecture. Again, this would be about 1600s, or no, earlier, 1500s originally. And then you go through to the King's bedroom, where King Charles I stayed. This was an area for the Royalist Army, and they walked all around. And this was his headquarters for 2 weeks. This is the bathroom, goes with the King's bedroom. And for weddings, it's useful. It's full of bridesmaids and mothers of the bride and hair and beauty. And people asked about the walls, but we painted it this matte colour and then did varnish stripes down it.
My name's Claire, I'm Elizabeth's daughter, and I know she's talked you through the legacy and the history and all about the restoration project of the house. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information about what we want the future of the house to be and the estate as a whole, because it's a farming estate. There's lots of farming families who've worked here for many years who are passionate about the land. I've really been thinking about these 5 pillars that we tried to base all aspects of our business around. So it's connection, it's education, it's the circular economy, health and community. The importance for us is human health, and that is for us trying to create a place of sanctuary and celebration for people on the estate. So sanctuary includes retreats, transformational events. So then the other side, obviously it's really essential, is the soil health, because that's absolutely crucial to the future of the environment. We're looking at the farming practices on the estate and looking more about regenerative farming, which really thinks about the organic matter in the soil. And then the other really important side is the biodiversity that's on the estate. So we know that biodiversity numbers of everything have plummeted over the generations. So for us, we're talking to different ecologists and really thinking about ways we can improve how we do things. And I think what always really struck me when Mum and Dad were doing the restoration project, and then my sister and I were we were younger at that stage, but involved in different ways, whether it was like serving teas at events or whatever it might be, but how important the team around us were, because none of this would happen without the incredible craftsmen who did the main, did all the work in the main house. Without our incredible team behind us now, this is what these places are. It's a really big team of people who support the business.
This is the recently done kitchen. The colouring is unusual and fun, and people love it. She's great for putting pink with red. It gives you a buzz, and it's very good first thing in the morning when you arrive for your cup of coffee.
I want to show you guys the stewardry, which Sarah, one of the daughters, interior designed.
Well, my name is Sarah Fortescue, and I'm the daughter of the late Anthony Fortescue and the current Elizabeth Fortescue of Beconic. And we did the stewardry about 2.5 years ago. We completed it. The inspiration behind the design as a Georgian house was very much the historical nature of the house and the abundance of natural light that floods Georgian buildings. We're now at the Stewardry, a property I designed and completed 2.5 years ago. Let's go in. This is the hallway, and we knocked through to open up and make it a more open flow. We knocked through these walls here. There was a small door into an old dining room, but I think the way people love to live is open plan. So we created this breakfast room with a modern wood burner. And I collaborated with several artists, Emma Black being one of them, my friend local Wendy Brolt, who has done abstract oils of the south coast here, and a friend of mine, Sam Travers, who is also a landscape and portrait painter. So we have a huge table for your breakfast of 14 people in this house, and we come into the kitchen. For me, creating a kitchen is all about a kitchen not really feeling like a kitchen. And so I put the wallpaper on, which is Ottoline de Vries, a very lovely contemporary designer. And we kept the old joinery, which was more 80s, a little bit retro in feel. There is a kitchen garden here as well, so it's a delightful place to pick your own vegetables and then come and cook. And then we walk through into the anteroom, which is the Georgian part of the house, where we did a scumble glaze effect on the walls. And we opened up to make a lovely winter dining room or breakfast room, we often do. And we opened up these doors here into the drawing room to create this sort of flow of space. And yes, it had been very different in here. We found the old wooden floorboards and hand polished them to bring them up. And then we walk into the drawing room, where the wallpaper I designed for this room, it's meant to be a take on the gardens, the Cornish gardens, magnolias and camellias. And we also have a Wedgwood fireplace, which came from Baconic House, because Josiah Wedgwood used to buy china clay off the Pitts, who are my ancestors. And then this drawing room is perfect to sit by the fire and relax. We're standing in the north-facing bedroom, which has 4 beautiful windows with a lot of natural light in here. And because the house is surrounded by ancient woodland, I wanted to create a room where you felt completely engulfed by the ancient woodland when you open the curtains and allow the light to come in. This house has 7 bedrooms. 4 of those bedrooms have ensuite bathrooms, and there are 3 further bathrooms too. And I did the interior design. Every single room and bathroom is completely unique, but there is a synergy of colour and palette and texture throughout. It really started when my father asked for some paint colours for Baconic House, and he had been restoring Baconic for 12 years. And before I moved to Hong Kong, I thought actually it would be wonderful to see the house completed, and I wanted to help him. So I took on doing the interior design of Baconic House in 2011, and we did the first floor bedrooms, which took about 8 months. And we then moved on to do the downstairs later on in 2016. And it's always a moving parts. There's still parts of the attic that need to be done too, to this day. And on the back of finishing Baconic House, I moved to Hong Kong and worked with an architect and set up my own business, Sarah Fortescue Design.
So I think I'll wrap this video up here. I really hope that you enjoyed learning about the history from Elizabeth and meeting her 2 daughters, Claire and Sarah. We're going to be bringing you more videos like this, and if you own a property similar or a unique house, something with an exciting story, please do drop us an email.
It doesn't have to be on this scale. This is like a special episode, but by all means, let us know. We are off to film a French chateau in the coming weeks that is even bigger than this, so stay tuned for that. But also we like to film bespoke one-off build, like smaller properties, interesting ones too.
Yeah, we are going international, guys, and we're going to Normandy. So please hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Sorry, my hair's everywhere from the wind. And we'll see you in the next one.